All right, friends, we're gonna do something different in this video today. I want to guide a somatic practice. So you might call it a somatic meditation, or really just a practice to help support getting into the sensation and getting into the physical body and out of the mind. So it's going to be really gentle, really easy. You don't need anything. I have a yoga mat that is completely optional. This should be, good for any level. And really what I want you to think about in this specific practice, or this series of movements that we're going to do, is really, really attuning to sensation. So really deeply attuning to what you're feeling in the body, and I'll guide that as we go. But what are you feeling in the body? What sensations are present? And just really starting to make that attunement. So this is really, really helpful. I found that these types of practices have been really instrumental for me in kind of dropping below the thought identification and identification with content of the mind, and actually coming to settle and live from this space. So really attuning to sensation. So that's what we're going to be doing in this short little series. So before we begin moving, I want to invite you to just find a comfortable place to sit, perhaps on the floor, somewhere where you can sit comfortably. And start by simply closing the eyes. So close your eyes. And we're going to start immediately by attuning to sensation. So if the hands are resting on the legs, I want you to notice the texture of the fabric that your hands are in contact with. So notice the texture that's happening. And notice the feel of the areas of your body that are in contact with the floor or whatever you happen to be sitting on. Not assigning any sort of thought to it, but just really feeling the sensation. And now bring awareness to the breath and notice the sensation right at the tip of the nose. So we're going to inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. So notice the sensation of the breath as you draw the air in through the nostrils. So maybe even notice the slight coolness of the air as it is drawn inward, or the warmth depending on where you are. And see if you can feel the rise and the fall of the chest, of the abdomen, of the belly as you inhale and exhale. Where do you feel that? What sensation feels most prominent as you bring attention down into the chest and the heart space? So I want to focus on the heart space and the chest in this. It's going to be very heart opening. So now that we've attuned to the breath, let's bring some attention back to the rest of the body. So see if you can notice the temperature of the air in the room. Notice the sensation and that might feel like the sensation of the boundary of the body. Okay, so now let's bring the eyes open, blink the eyes open. And we will start our movement practice, which I'll try to keep it at about 10 minutes. So to start, we're going to start by relaxing the nervous system and do some practices to open through that heart space. So to start, we're going to bring the hands behind the head, interlace the hands right behind the head. And you're going to keep everything stationary. The only thing that you're going to move here is the eyes. And I want you to just slide your eyes to the right. And pause. So find something to look at and pause. And now as the eyes are to the right, I want you to feel into the body. And some things that you might notice happening as you hold the gaze there is you might notice a sigh or a swallow or a yawn, or just a general feeling of relaxation in the body. And this is going to be self-guided, so you can even pause the video here if it needs to take a little bit longer. But you're going to hold your gaze to the right until you notice one of those things happen. Until you notice, again, it could be a sigh, a swallow, a yawn. So I just had a little swallow there. And once you feel that trigger, that's the nervous system coming into a nice balanced state. And we're also attuning to sensation as we do this. Go ahead and slide your eyes the other way and find something to look at. So we're not moving the head as we do this. The head stays stationary. And pause. And so as the eyes are to the left, you're tuned to the sensations. Pay attention to what's going on down below the head. You notice that I just had a nice little sigh there. You're welcome to stay there for as long as it takes. For some, it might take longer. That's totally okay. Stay as long as you need. So pause the video if you need, but when you're ready, bring the eyes back to center and you can lower the hands. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring the left hand on top of the head and turn the gaze so that it's looking into the crook of that left elbow. And your gaze is going to be into that elbow the whole time. So slowly, just start to bring the elbow a little bit forward so the upper body's twisting a little bit, and then come back to the left. So just back and forth, really nice and slow. And we're paying attention to the same things. Pay attention to what's happening in the body, maybe even the feel of the twisting sensation happening through the chest and the torso. And we're waiting for those same triggers, a sigh, a swallow, a yawn. Okay, I just had my sigh there, so I'm going to move on. But again, if you need to pause the video and continue on that side, you're welcome to. So do the same thing on the other side. Right hand on top of the head, gaze stays looking into the elbow, and we're moving really slow. So way slower than you think. And the benefit here of, really moving way slower than your mind might tell you it wants to move, is you start to butt up against conditioning, against the conditioning to go, 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 to do, to move fast. So move really slow, really lazy here, paying attention, waiting, feeling for that sigh, that swallow, or that yawn. And I just had my sigh, so we're going to go ahead and move on. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the left hand or actually let's start with the right hand. So we're going to take the right hand and bring it right to the center of the chest. So the finger pads come right to the sternum. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to apply a gentle amount of pressure right to the center of the chest. And then you're going to simply pretend or imagine that you're trying to just slide the skin on your chest towards the left shoulder. And as you do that, the gaze is going to look out to the right. And then everything's going to come back to center. Head comes to center. Fingers come back to the center. And then back and forth here. Gaze goes right. Fingers push left. Back and forth. And we're waiting for those same triggers. Any of those triggers. Sigh, swallow, yawn. And it may take your body a little bit longer than mine, so that is totally okay. Take as long as you need here. Okay, so left side, left fingers, right in the center of the chest. Fingers kind of push the skin toward the right shoulder, head turns to the left, and then back to center. Back and forth here, really nice and slow. I want you to see if you can really feel the body, feel the sensations of the fingers, gently pressing the skin towards the left. Feel the sensation of the head turning. And then feel whatever that trigger happens to be. So if it's the sigh, feel the breath. If it's the yawn, feel the breath. Feel the mouth opening. If it's the swallow, notice the sensation of the swallow. Okay, so the last one that we're going to do there is we're going to take the left hand and bring it to the top of the head. And then the right hand is going to come to the low ribs on that left side. And you're going to palpate, so you're going to feel for the space between the rib bones. So feel for that little gap between the ribs. And then kind of pause and just hold a couple of the fingers right between those rib bones. And then here, we're gonna just really gently just kind of drop that left elbow towards the floor just a little. We're not trying to stretch here, and then back up. And as you do that, so up and down really gently, gaze stays forward. And as you do that, I want you to use the fingers on your right hand to feel how the ribs compress as the elbow drops. So the ribs compress and then spread open like an accordion. So notice that compression and that spreading. So that we're getting into really subtle sensations here, places we don't pay attention to. And we're looking for any of those same triggers. Sigh, swallow, yawn. So I just had a nice sigh there, so I'm going to move on to the other side. Right hand on top of the head, left hand between the ribs. And just gently drop that right elbow towards the floor and back up, and the ribs spread open as you lift up and then compress as that elbow drops to the floor, and really feel that movement there. Feel that compression and that expansion. And wait for any of those triggers. However long it takes is how long it takes. And notice if there's thoughts coming in the mind about the speed with which something should be happening. And just redirect that sensation back into redirect that back into the sensations. Okay, I just had a nice yawn, or a nice sigh there. So the next thing that we're going to do is bring the fingertips down to either side, and then inhale, reach the arms up, and then exhale, float the arms back down. And what I want to do here is, as you lift the arms, think about lifting the heart, shining the heart upwards. And you may notice, I'm going to turn to the side here just so you can see. So we're going to go back and forth here. And as the arms come up, maybe get a little arch in the back. So right in the center of the chest, so it kind of falls and then lifts as the arms come up. Exhale, the chest falls a little bit. Inhale, lifts. One more. Inhale, chest rises, lifts like a string in the center of your chest. Exhale, drops a little. And just settle back to center. So on the next inhale, we're going to lift the arms and then find a twist to the right. So the left hand comes to the right knee, the right fingers fall back behind. So we're in a little bit of a twist here, and I want to do that same lifting and lowering of the chest. So imagine you have a string tied to the very center of your chest, and it just lifts a little straight up towards the ceiling and then lower. It's almost like you're having a little arch in that upper back and then rounding just a little. So paying attention to that mid to upper part of the spine, right between the shoulder blades. So inhale to lift the heart, exhale to drop it. One more. Inhale to lift, exhale to drop. Unwind, inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, turn to the other side. Same thing. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, drop it. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale to drop it. One more. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale to drop it. Okay. So one last thing I want to do, it might be a little longer than 10 minutes. One last thing I want to do, getting into some movement through that upper part of the heart space, so the front and back of that heart space, is we're going to come to hands and knees here. And what I want you to do is we're going to stagger the hands, so that right hand is going to step a little bit forward of the left hand. And what we're going to do here is take a breath in, and then on the exhale, the chest is going to collapse down. And then inhale, the back of the upper back presses up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, that chest collapses down. So as we do this, the shoulder blades, as the chest collapses down, the shoulder blades are going to kind of slide towards the center of the spine. And then as you press into the hands and the upper part of the back presses towards the ceiling, the shoulder blades kind of slide away from each other. So these are called scapular push-ups. But we're not doing this to try to work the muscles. I want you to actually feel that movement through the chest, in the shoulders. So we're loosening that heart space. Inhale and exhale. One more. Inhale, lift the upper back. Exhale, drop the chest. Come back to neutral. Bring the hands back side by side. Step that left palm forward. Same thing. Inhale. So the upper back presses up towards the ceiling, almost like a cat and cow if you're familiar with yoga. And exhale, the heart collapses towards the floor.
So imagine the heart is moving towards the ceiling and then towards the floor, and the chest cavity moves with it. Inhale and exhale. And just notice the feeling of that movement in that space. Exhale. One more. Inhale and exhale. So we're going to end in a child's pose, the big toes together, knees come wide. Walk the hands forward. And we're going to bring the hands into a prayer position. This will be the last pose. And then the thumbs are going to come towards the back of the skull, like a reverse prayer position. And then see if you can kind of settle your heart towards the floor. And simply breathe here. So I'm going to invite you. So I'm going to move. You stay where you're at. But while you're there, I want to invite you to feel what it feels like to breathe, with the chest settling towards the floor. Notice if you can feel that expansion through the sides of the ribs, front to back, top to bottom. If you can feel that expansion in every direction and feel the sensation. What does it feel like to breathe? Inhale and exhale. Maybe bring the arms back long, palms to the floor, and notice the texture of the hands on the floor. What's the texture of the ground underneath you right now? Feel the temperature of the air in the room. All right, my friends, be gentle with yourselves. That's all I have for you.